All right, Fun KR77 or Funker77, and maybe I'll call you 77, man. I finally did it. I'm finally making a response video to you. As I told you in the text comment and a couple comments, I find your videos late at night. I don't know what it is. And a couple of them I've gone to make a response video, and it was just too late to do it. I wouldn't have had time to make it and upload it. So anyway, here we are, and this is in response to your video asking for opinions about whether the United States Constitution was somehow flawed in the beginning. Yeah, you know, I think they acknowledge. They acknowledge that it's going to be a flawed document. In fact, they say in the preamble, which I just happen to have here. No, I don't have it here. I'll have to remember it. It says, "We, the people of the United States of America, in order to form a more perfect union." So they don't say in order to form a perfect union. So I think that acknowledges that that the union is flawed. But in any event, at least the union's flawed. So. Maybe not the document itself, but yeah, of course it'll be flawed. It's also a document of its time, written by incredible people. I mean, just a remarkable document. In any event, zipping down to the religion, I don't see the Bible or Christianity anywhere reflected in the document. It's just the only mention really of religion is in the First Amendment, which basically I do happen to have here by some strange chance, and it says, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion." They usually call this separation of church and state, but it's broader. It refers not to church, but to religion. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And then it goes on to guarantee the rights of free speech. And, well, I'll read the whole thing because it's a great one. Or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of their grievances. In any event, no law respecting an establishment of religion. Establishment also means something which not just creates or founds, but something which supports and makes stable. So we're not supposed to pass laws that that support basically religion, nor are we supposed to interfere with people's right to excuse me, to exercise their religion. So there's no mention of Christianity in the document, and you know, there's no mention of men or women. Those two words, man, woman, men, women, those words don't appear in the Constitution. The word white does not appear in the Constitution. The word black does not occur in the Constitution. It doesn't mention race at all. The word race doesn't appear in the Constitution. It just says people and persons. It'll talk about something and then it'll say or all other persons. It does mention slavery though. So there you have it. At the time, factually, the slaves were of African descent. But it doesn't, interestingly enough, it doesn't identify them by race. It just says slaves. So that could take any form, I suppose. So I'm actually glad that it's free of identifying any particular race, even though it does acknowledge the existence of slavery, which is a huge flaw because it acknowledges it. So it's clearly flawed in that regard. And of course, beginning with the 13th Amendment, you have you know, the freeing of slaves and the abolishment of slavery. So that's actually, I think that's actually what it is. Do I have that here? 13th Amendment. No, I just have the first 10, which are known as the Bill of Rights. They were written at the time the Constitution was written. I would have to check into that, but I'm curious as to whether it uses the word slaves. I think it probably does use the word slaves when it talks about how many representatives each individual state can have in the House and how many in the Senate. or how many taxes can be directly applied to the states. It mentions ways to count that. And no, it may not. It may just talk about freed persons. I'll have to look that up for you. In any event, now that I've blurred that beyond all recognition, I apologize. Let's talk a little bit more about religion again. Let's zip back to religion. Yeah, it's basically not a quote-unquote Christian country. I mean, there may be a majority of the citizens may practice Christianity, but technically it is not a Christian country. It's secular, in other words, I would say. It's interesting because people are constantly trying to erode this particular amendment, the First Amendment, the First Amendment in the Bill of Rights. They're constantly trying to erode that in the country for years and years and years and years. And unfortunately, they've made some pretty good progress. You know, the government really should not be funding religion. It should do nothing respecting an establishment of religion. So that's the story there. As far as taxes go, I don't know. I don't define my freedom as to whether or not I have to pay taxes. I just consider it a duty to, you know, well, for the benefit of the welfare of the country. Now, I don't agree with every tax. That's true, but I have no problem paying taxes. It was a very different country when it was founded. You know, it was essentially what they would call wilderness. You know, everything west of you was property that wasn't owned, wasn't technically owned in the European conception of ownership. Technically wasn't owned, and so therefore, wow, you know, you could go out there and do a lot of things. There was always a frontier until, of course, the entire continent was basically conquered under Manifest Destiny, another curious policy. Anyway, it was a very different world, but you know, our freedoms are guaranteed. You know, quite a bit of our freedoms are guaranteed. But yeah, the document's flawed. Now I'm wandering, so I should pretty much sign off. Listen, I emailed you a list of quotations from founders of the United States regarding religion, the separation of church and state, or perhaps we should say the you know, the establishment of religion, or the wall between religion and state. I think you'll find some of those quotes very interesting. Where's their perfect freedom? I really don't know, but I don't think it. I mean, I wouldn't just go to a place with no taxes, because it doesn't mean they can't require other things of you. You know, taxes, I think, are necessary to keep the place going. I mean, we have to have the roads fixed, and I really don't agree with the anarcho-capitalists and the libertarians that the economic market will simply create all these things everywhere, and streets will magically appear out of the market. I mean, I do think, you know, we need to plan that sort of thing. It has to be done at a level that plans for the entire country and not in individual little places, etc., etc. So, so taxes, I think, are necessary. Now, I certainly don't agree with what the tax money's, a lot of what the tax money's used for, but you know, what have you. As far as starting over with a new constitution, you know, this constitution could be amended. I believe it's by I think two-thirds or three-quarters vote. There's a couple of ways to amend the Constitution. One is that I think two-thirds of the legislature can come together, both houses, I believe. It's in the Constitution. The Constitution mainly maps out the powers of government, is really what it does. It doesn't really talk so much about our freedoms. But there are a couple ways to amend it. It doesn't require absolute consensus by all American citizens. It doesn't require that. It's a representative democracy. And now I was going to say something else, but I'm out of time, and it's not leaping into my mind during the last 30 seconds. What was it? I don't know. I apologize for all the wandering and waving around here, wavering around here. Look, I can't even speak a word properly. But I wanted to make sure I got this video off to you, my friend. Take care. Bye.